My beloved child, if right now I told you that in heaven there is one who is weeping for the sake of your safety, would you have enough courage to stay and listen until the very end? If I told you that those tears are not falling over some distant tragedy, but over the very small, very quiet, very ordinary choices you have made in these past days, would you dare to let your heart slow down for just a moment? My child, I have not come to frighten you. I have come to rouse you from a sleep that is slowly pulling your soul toward an unseen abyss. It is I, the Lord Jesus Christ, who am speaking to you. I am the one who once wept before the tomb of Lazarus, and today I weep because the story of your life is quietly drifting away from the good plan I engraved upon the palm of my hand before the beginning of time. This is not a beautiful message meant to soothe you for a moment and then be forgotten. This is a midnight call, delivered when the house that seems peaceful is already being quietly touched by flame. My child, there is a kind of danger the natural eye cannot see and the natural ear cannot hear. It does not roar, nor does it appear like a sudden storm. It enters your life through small habits, harmless-looking compromises, those moments when you tell yourself, just this once will be fine. I see the times when you silence the voice within, just so you can curl deeper into your weariness. The moments when you know what is pulling you away from me, yet you smile and let it pass because you do not want to face it. The greatest danger is not an unexpected blow from the outside, but the gradual dulling of your soul when it no longer trembles before what is holy, no longer stirs when wandering from the truth. When you walk too long in dimness, your eyes begin to adjust to the lack of light, and then you start calling darkness normal, calling lukewarmness safety, and calling distance from me freedom. That is when I weep, not because I am weak, but because I know that with each day you drift in this way. Everything may look fine on the surface, yet inside you are slipping away from life. Spiritual destruction rarely happens in a loud moment. It fractures quietly in the hours when you cease to stay awake. Look again, not with the eyes of self-condemnation, but with the honesty. My spirit is stirring within you. How long has it been since you truly asked, where is my soul right now? How long have you been running after tasks, responsibilities, comparisons, the search for approval, while forgetting that the most precious thing you possess is not your work, your belongings, or your outward image, but the soul into which I breathed life? Your life is more fragile than you think. A gentle breeze can extinguish a candle, how much more the invisible storms being woven around you. I do not say this to make your mind restless, but to bring you back to truth. If you do not hold your soul in the light, you are letting it drift along the currents of a world moving farther and farther from me. Everything seems fine on the outside. You still smile, still speak, still blend in, still post joyful things. But I know there are nights when you lie still in the dark, feeling a hollow space you cannot name. That hollow space is the first gentle warning. You are drifting from the source of life. The danger I am warning you about does not always take the shape of blatant sin, as you imagine. It does not dwell only in the things everyone labels as wrong. Often, it wears a charming disguise, a relationship that makes you forget yourself, a compliment that places your worth in human hands, an opportunity wrapped in gold that secretly erodes your soul. Sometimes danger wears the clothing of reason, of everyone does this, of this is just how things are now. It hides in smiles, and in well-meaning advice that leads you away from the place where I am waiting for you to return. It lies in the hours you spend lingering before a screen rather than lingering in stillness with me. In the moments you quickly trust every voice around you without asking me a single question. Danger is not always a shout. Many times, it is the lullaby that settles you into a dull and fading life. That is why I said, watch and pray, so that you will not fall into temptation. Matthew 26-41. That word was not only for the disciples long ago, it is echoing for you at this very hour. My child, have you noticed that time seems to be moving faster than before? Days pass in the blink of an eye, plans pile up, yet your heart still feels empty. You say, I'll deal with it tomorrow. When things are better, I'll pray more. Another time, I'll take care of my spiritual life. And yet that other time has come countless times while you continue to postpone it. The urgency of spiritual time is not the same as the rush of this world. The world urges you to run, but I call you to pause. The world tells you to grasp for more, but I tell you to release what is excessive so you can keep what is irreplaceable. The world measures success by speed, but I measure it by awareness. With every passing day, the small choices you make, choosing silence or prayer, choosing forgiveness or resentment, choosing to turn inward or turn to me, are weaving the direction of your soul. There is no neutral decision in the spiritual realm. Everything either draws you closer to me or pushes you a little farther away. My child, I know there are parts of your heart that want to shut down as you hear these words. A voice whispers, "It's not that serious. You're fine. Don't overreact." That is the thin mist of deception trying to wrap itself around you. I do not come to condemn you. I come to remove the veil that has been covering your eyes. If my intention were to judge, I would not be weeping. My tears are the evidence of a love deeper than any fear of punishment. When I look at you, I do not only see your missteps, I also see the heavenly potential I placed within you from the beginning. The capacity to love, the capacity to forgive, the capacity to rise after being broken, the capacity to become a light in the midst of thick darkness. Because of these things, I cannot remain silent while you allow yourself to drift along a surface that seems gentle but hides deep waters underneath. Imagine your soul as a small oil lamp. Every time you seek me intentionally, every moment you are sincere in prayer, another drop of oil is added. But every time you compromise with darkness, every time you pretend to be fine while your heart is hollow, a drop is lost. Perhaps for now, the flame still burns, but it is dimmer than you remember. Your eyes once shone differently. The joy you used to have did not depend on circumstances the way it does now. That is why I urgently call you back. When a flame dwindles to a thread, a single strong wind can extinguish it. I do not want to wait until that moment. I choose to speak to you now, while there is still time for you to respond. The hour of grace does not remain open forever to a heart that grows indifferent. It is a wide open door, but every time you turn away, another layer of hardness forms within your spirit. You may say, "But nothing terrible has happened to me yet." My child, not every abyss announces itself with the sound of breaking ground. Some abysses are covered with green grass. You walk and feel it soft beneath your feet. Soft, soft, and then suddenly there is no foothold left. Drifting away from me usually begins with the feeling that everything is still normal. You still work, still talk, still participate in all your usual activities, but your soul loses its spiritual sensitivity. You hear of holy things and no longer feel moved. You see someone else's pain, and your heart passes over it carelessly. You sense an inner warning but immediately drown it out with noise, images, or work. These are the true signs of an invisible danger approaching. I speak to you not as a cold judge, but as a father who sits awake through the night beside the sickbed of his beloved child, seeing signs the child cannot see in themselves. I know every fleeting thought in your mind, every sigh no one else hears, every moment you want to give up, but hold on because you do not want to disappoint others. I know you once walked closer to me than you do now, and I also know the shame that rises in you when you think about the distance that has grown. But my child, shame does not heal a soul, only honesty and returning do. That is why, even in this opening passage, I ask only one thing of you. Do not leave. Do not turn off this voice. Do not push my words away as you often do with anything that makes you uncomfortable. Let my tears fall upon your story, not to drown you in guilt, but to soften the soil of your heart so the seed of life can be planted again. You are standing on the threshold between continuing as you are and letting me intervene. And the very moment you choose to listen until the end is the moment danger begins to lose its power over your life. My child, I want you to sit still and listen with your whole heart, for what I am about to speak is not meant to frighten you, but to open a door that has long been covered in dust. You often tell me that I feel distant, that you have tried to pray but only heard the echo of your own heart, that you long to hold my hand but instead feel an empty coldness in your spirit. Child, what you call emptiness does not come from me. It comes from the walls you have built around yourself to protect your heart from the pain you have never allowed me to touch. A soul does not become distant in a single moment. It drifts away little by little, breath by breath, habit by habit, wound by wound left untreated, sorrow after sorrow tucked away into hidden compartments where you told yourself, "I'm fine." I have never left, never stepped away, never been able to walk away, because my love for you does not rise and fall with the state of your inner world. It is the accumulation of the things you never said, the tears you wiped too quickly, the disappointments buried beneath polite smiles, the anger you suppressed until it hardened into stone that is what formed the wall that keeps you from seeing me, even though I have been standing right there, not moving an inch. Picture your soul as a garden that was once tender and vibrant, sensitive to the slightest breath of my spirit. But over the years, stones of hurt, branches of sorrowful memories, and thorns of disappointment began to grow slowly, quietly, almost imperceptibly. You did not build them on purpose. You built them out of prolonged exhaustion, out of moments when you no longer wanted to pray, out of the times you let fear dictate your steps. And when the day finally came that you wanted to return to me, you ran into the very wall you had unknowingly raised and assumed that it was I who had grown distant. It is not that I am silent. It is that my voice has been choked by the noise of unhealed pain. It is not that I have turned away. It is that layers of disappointment have settled like dust upon your eyes, dimming your ability to see my light. It is not that I do not hear you. It is that your heart has become so full of other sounds that there is no room left for my whisper to enter. Do not forget that sacred distance never begins with me. It begins with the moment you stop being honest with me. I saw you when you began to shrink back after that wound, when you pretended to be calm though your insides were collapsing, when you acted strong because you were afraid others would see weakness, when you pressed your face into your pillow at night but could not bring yourself to call my name because you believed your words had lost their worth. Each emotion left unspoken became another brick stacked upon the last. And when your heart becomes too crowded with all that has not been released, my voice, which is gentle by nature, subtle and delicate, becomes difficult to hear, difficult to distinguish, difficult to recognize. It is not that I stopped speaking. It is that you no longer had empty space inside for my voice to touch. This accumulation does not simply make it hard for you to hear me. It leads to something far more dangerous, something I need you to confront now. Spiritual numbness. Numbness does not hurt, nor does it warn. It arrives like a thin shadow, quietly covering everything until all that is sacred becomes dim and distant. When numb, you no longer desire the things of God, no longer yearn for my presence, no longer feel sensitivity toward what is right or wrong, no longer feel troubled when stepping outside my ways. Outwardly you still live, still smile, still function, but inwardly your soul grows cold, like an ember buried under ash not visible to the eye, yet losing its light day by day. Numbness is when the soul begins to die and you yourself do not realize you are dying. It does not make you cry, does not make you panic, does not make you collapse. It simply makes you indifferent, and that indifference is exactly what the enemy longs for most. I need you to understand this very deeply. Darkness does not need to push you into obvious, blatant sin. It only needs to lull you into numbness. It only needs to make you lose all sense of the urgency of returning. It only needs to make you believe that tomorrow is fine. It gently lulls you to sleep with counterfeit comforts like, everyone is like that. God must be very busy. It's okay, even if you don't pray. You are too tired to change. Darkness does not usually work through roaring noise, but through sedation, through brief moments of ease, through things that seem harmless. It makes you so busy that you no longer have time for me, so exhausted that you no longer hunger for me, so wounded that you no longer want to face me, so disappointed that you begin to doubt me. It does not strike with force. It simply removes one brick at a time from the foundation of your spiritual life, until the wall you thought was protecting you becomes the very wall that imprisons your own soul. But my child, no matter how high that wall you have built may be, no matter how thick, no matter how many years it has been standing, I am still right there, just on the other side of that wall, not having moved even half a step away. You may be weak and changeable. You may stumble many times. You may run, doubt, resist, even blame me, but the love I have for you does not shift. You may perceive me as silent, but I have never been far from you. You may think I am punishing you, but I am only waiting for you to open even the smallest crack for my light to return. You may feel empty, but in that very emptiness, I am touching the deepest parts of you that you have long kept hidden. My love is not limited by the disappointment you feel toward yourself. It does not decrease when you are weak. It is not diminished when you fall into darkness. It does not leave when you close the door of your heart. It does not disappear when you stop praying. It does not fade over time the way human love does. My love is more enduring than every place of brokenness within you, and because of that, I do not cease calling your name, whether you hear me or not. I do not demand that you become perfect before you return. I only ask that you be honest. I do not require you to tear down the entire wall at once. I only ask you to open a small gap. I do not tell you that you must run back to me. I only ask that you turn slightly, so that I can step in. My child, be at peace. If distance began with pain, then your return will begin with a single, honest moment. If the wall was built through many years of hurt, then my light needs only one moment to pierce through. And when it does, darkness will no longer have any power. For I, the one who has never left you, am still standing here, still waiting, still loving, and still saying, you only need to open your heart. I will do the rest. My child, let me tell you something that no human eye can truly see. The real danger in your life has never been in the material things that frighten you, but in the quiet movements of the soul that lead you away from eternal life. External disasters may make you tremble, but it is the inner disasters that slowly erode your destiny. You are afraid of sickness, of accidents, of losing your job, of losing the one you love. But you rarely fear that your soul might lose its direction. You worry about tomorrow, but seldom think about eternity. You rush to protect your body, yet you let your soul drift in the whirlpool of this world without setting any boundaries. You may survive great crises, but the small daily deviations will push you onto a path where, by the time you realize it, you are already far from the light. The greatest danger is not the single blow that knocks you down, but the long wandering that makes you forget what you were created for. So think carefully. What has truly drawn you away from me? Was it the great storms? No, it is the small, soft, gentle, seemingly harmless things that have led you off the path I designed for you. A compliment that makes you dependent on human approval. A small success that makes you believe you are strong enough not to need me. A relationship that makes you forget my voice. A pressure that wears you out until you no longer pray. Those things do not shatter your soul all at once. They simply make you forget the purpose of your life. Forget that you were created to bear light. Forget that you were saved to walk in freedom. Forget that you have a soul waiting to be nourished. The most dangerous snare is not obvious sin, but anything that makes you forget to whom you belong. When you forget the purpose of your life, you begin to chase after things that can never fill your soul. You try to find worth in work, in busyness, in recognition, in human affection. You look at every open door and assume it is a way out, while I see that behind many of those doors lies an abyss. You believe your desires are harmless, yet not everything the human heart longs for leads to life. Some things look like blessings, but are merely glittering chains. Some things look like freedom, but are actually a long intoxication. Some things look like light, but are nothing more than reflections shimmering on the surface of the water. The most dangerous spiritual traps are the ones that make you grow cold without realizing you are growing cold, that make you forget to seek me without realizing you have forgotten, that make you drift from the light without noticing that each step is carrying you deeper into the shadows. My child, let me make clear to you what I meant when I spoke of standing at the edge of a spiritual cliff. It is not a single moment when you almost lose everything, but a prolonged state in which your soul becomes so weary that it no longer responds to truth. Standing at the edge of a spiritual cliff is when you hear my voice, but assume you are imagining it. When you know you are choosing wrongly, yet lack the strength to stop. When you see the warning signs, yet continue on because you tell yourself that things will work out somehow. When you no longer feel pain over what once made you cry, no longer feel uneasy over what once made you pause, No longer feel urgency about the things that concern your soul. That is the moment when darkness stops, resisting you because it knows you are quiet and still enough to drift all on your own. A spiritual abyss is not like a physical one. It does not open its mouth fiercely. It does not shout your name. It simply stands there in silence, patient, waiting for the day your heart becomes dull enough that you can no longer distinguish what belongs to life, and you will not hear it calling, because it does not call. It only remains silent, like a black void slowly swallowing the light, while its victim does not realize they are moving closer to it day by day. If I did not call you at this moment, you would assume you were still fine. That is why I speak, why I warn, why I shake you not to condemn, but to rescue you from the very path you are walking without noticing. I know why you have not been able to let go of the things that are damaging your soul, and I do not blame you. Letting go is one of the hardest battles a human heart must face. You know certain things are hurting you, yet they have been with you for so long that you have begun to call them part of who I am. Some memories have worn you down so deeply that you fear if you release them, you will no longer know who you are. Some resentments wound you, yet make you feel protected. Some relationships exhaust you, yet you feel that losing them will strip away your worth. Some fears suffocate you, yet they give you a sense of control. Some habits weaken you, yet they offer temporary comfort. You do not cling to them because you want them. You cling to them because you no longer know how to live without them. And I understand this, for I see the roots of every wound. But my child, the things you hold on to, the very things that are destroying your soul, are not holding you up. They are pulling you downward. They are like a heavy stone you clutch while sinking underwater. You fear releasing it because you think it is the only thing left in your grasp, when in truth, it is the very thing keeping you from rising. If you open your hand, you will not lose. You will be set free. Yet I know that the moment right before you let go is always the hardest. Pain peeling away from a wound is never comfortable. Light touching a hidden bruise is never pleasant, but it is the only path through which healing can begin. So, my child, I am calling you to take the very first step back into the light. I am not asking you to run. I am not asking you to change in a day. I am not asking you to prove your strength. I am asking only for one step, one small step, one slight movement toward me, even if your hands still tremble, even if your heart still fears, even if your eyes are still blurred with tears. One step is enough for me to intervene. One step is enough for me to begin pulling you out from the place where you have been slipping. One step is enough for the light to find its way through the thick walls around your heart. One step is enough to break the power of darkness. You do not need to understand the whole journey. You only need to begin. My child, I do not speak these words as a rebuke, but as a tender invitation. Come back. Let me rescue your soul before you lose the true life I have destined for you. Let me pull you away from the edge, for you cannot see its depth the way I do. Let me touch the places you have been afraid to confront for too long. Let me lead you home. And if you simply take one small step toward the light, I will run to you, just as I have promised before. My child, when I tell you that I see what human eyes cannot see, I do not want you to understand it merely with your mind. I want your soul to grasp the very nature of the world you live in, a world with two layers, the visible and the spiritual. Your eyes perceive what has shape, color, and obvious movement, but most of what shapes your destiny unfolds in that invisible realm, the place where the direction of your soul is determined, where light and darkness contend in every fleeting moment, where decisions that seem small open or close the most critical doors of your life. You walk by your physical body, but what defines the deeper future of your life occurs within the soul, a place untouched by natural sight. I see currents you have never been aware of, silent attacks, and battles raging around you, even when you think you are simply living an ordinary day. There are movements in the unseen world that you cannot detect with human vision, movements as subtle as breath, yet powerful enough to shift the course of an entire soul. When you think you are merely feeling a bit sad, I see darkness searching for a weak point through which it may slip in. When you think a comment is just a harmless joke, I see how it can become a thorn piercing your sense of worth. When you think you are only neglecting prayer for a brief moment, I see a thin layer of dust settling on your spiritual sensitivity. When you think you are merely delaying what I have spoken to you about many times, I see that hesitation, opening a door to influences you do not yet understand. The invisible realm trembles whenever you choose forgiveness, whenever you choose honesty, whenever you turn back to me, and it also trembles whenever you choose compromise, whenever you choose temporary comfort, whenever you ignore the warning within. You do not know this, but darkness never appears in a harsh or dramatic way. It is crafted with great care, intentionality, and most strikingly through small habits. It is not the great blows that weaken a soul most quickly, but the quiet, repeated patterns of daily life. A little procrastination, a little sadness left unresolved, a little anger left unconfessed, a little pain concealed, a little too much entertainment, a little distance from stillness. These little things weave together a delicate but dangerous web that makes the soul weary without knowing why. You once asked me, why do I feel heavy, even though nothing seems to be happening? It is because of these subtle preparations of darkness. It is never in a hurry. It patiently leads you to repeat a small habit until that habit becomes a wide-open door. It does not need to push you suddenly off the edge. It only needs to shift you 1 degree away from the path I designed for you each day. If you drift 1 degree for 30 days, you will no longer recognize where you are, and it knows this far better than you. But my child, I also want you to know a truth even greater than this. My grace always goes before you, before an arrow of darkness is shot in your direction. I have already shielded you from many others you never knew existed. Before a wrong door opens, I have already closed many more that you thought were missed opportunities. Before a destructive person could enter your life, I kept many others from coming near you. Before you witnessed a near accident, I had already pushed away hundreds of dangerous situations your eyes never saw. Do you think all the times you just happened to escape trouble were luck? No, my child. That was grace going before you. You only see what I allow you to see. The protections I place over your destiny, those are beyond number. There are nights when you sleep soundly even though your heart was full of anxiety earlier in the day because I lulled you to rest with my covering. There are days you feel tired for reasons you cannot explain because I stopped a spiritual attack before it could reach you. There are moments when you suddenly choose silence instead of speaking a reckless word that is my hand restraining your tongue from opening a destructive doorway. You do not know how many times I have wrapped you in protection from destruction, but I know every moment. I always act before danger reaches your sight. That is protective love. The human eye struggles to recognize. You must understand this. The true battle does not take place in what the eyes can see, but in the choices unfolding within you. On one side stands light, on the play, other, darkness. One side is truth, the other is the subtle pull of deception. Deception never appears as a threat, it appears as a sweet comfort. It tells you that you do not need to change, that you have the right to hold on to resentment, that temporary soothing is more important than true healing, that what you feel is more reliable than what I speak. It whispers that you can steer your own life without me. It paints a beautiful picture that is hollow at its core. My light is different. Light does not flatter you. Light shines onto the things you want to hide, and that makes you uncomfortable. Light urges you to let go of what does not belong to me, and that stirs your fear of loss. Light calls you home, yet you hesitate to turn around because you fear being judged. Light whispers truth, while darkness caresses your emotions. One leads you to life, the other to numbness. And in every small moment of your days, that silent battle repeats itself, unceasing and relentless. I see what you cannot see in that battle. I see the moments you think you are simply tired, when in reality your soul is being drained by deception. I see the moments you believe you are merely delaying a little, when in truth darkness is pushing you a few more steps away from me. I see the moments you assume a small feeling means nothing, while in reality it is quietly shifting the direction of your soul. And whenever I see you leaning toward the wrong voices, I immediately step in, between, like a wall of light, holding you even before you realize you need to be held. My child, everything I am speaking is so you will know this. You are not alone in this unseen world filled with intricate movements. No matter how subtle the darkness may be, no matter how skillfully deception disguises itself, no matter how harmless certain habits may appear while they slow you down, my light remains stronger, clearer, more patient, and ever present to guard the destiny I have placed within you. You do not need to know everything that is happening. You only need to hold my hand, and I will lead you through all that human eyes cannot perceive. There is something I want you to understand deeply, so your heart will no longer be troubled whenever someone leaves your life. Not everyone who walks with you in this present moment belongs to the future I have prepared for you. Some departures are not losses, but deliverances. Some doors closing are not failures, but protection. Some people disappear from your journey not because they are too strong for you to hold, but because they are too heavy for you to carry. I do not see only your present. I see the long road ahead, the turns you cannot yet see, the valleys you have not walked through, the traps you have never encountered. And there are people who, if they remained, would prevent you from ever reaching the fullness of that path. So I allow certain people to leave, even when their leaving grieves you, confuses you, or makes you feel abandoned. But what you call loss is often my mercy. I know there are people you once considered your pillars, people you trusted deeply, to whom you revealed the most hidden parts of your soul, people you believed would always stand by you. Yet human hearts shift with the seasons, and there are seasons when such shifting becomes the very means I use to rescue your spirit. If someone walks away from you and you do not understand why, remember this: I see what you do not see. I hear what you have not heard. I perceive the motives of the human heart, even when they hide them beneath pleasant smiles. I see in advance the wounds you would suffer if they remained, and I act early so you will not be broken. Some relationships appear healthy, yet secretly poison your soul, not through cruelty, but through dependency, not through shouting, but through sweet words that dull your discernment, not through violence, but through indifference that erodes the value I placed within you. A toxic relationship is not always marked by conflict or heated arguments. Often it appears in the form of small compromises. You pray a little less, you guard your heart a little less, you choose honesty a little less, you listen to my voice a little less, all for the sake of keeping peace, avoiding trouble, or not hurting someone's feelings. Yet those little compromises are the slow erosion of your spirit. And when that erosion becomes deep enough, it becomes an open door for darkness. There were moments when you asked me, why did you allow that person to walk away when I cherished them so deeply? My child, there are things you call love that are in fact attachments born from unhealed wounds. There are things you consider precious that are merely fears of losing. There are things you see as closeness that are only coverings placed over your inner emptiness. I know there are people whom, if I did not remove from your life, you would never see their true nature. And I also know there are people you hold tightly, not because you truly need them, but because you fear facing yourself without them as a crutch. You forget that I alone am your true foundation. There are relationships that, from the outside, appear beautiful to everyone. You once believed that too, but as you draw nearer to me, as my light shines into the hidden corners, you begin to see what you once overlooked. Deception is not always easy to discern, because it often disguises itself in kindness, in soft words, or in selective care. Yet I see what is being cultivated in that person's heart, whether it is genuine love or selfishness in disguise, control coated in sweetness, jealousy hidden beneath compliments, or indifference painted as freedom. These things quietly poison your soul far more than any open attack ever could. A wound inflicted by a stranger may sadden you for a moment, but a wound inflicted by someone you trust can fracture your soul. I see those fractures long before you recognize them, and I allow those cracks to become visible, not to increase your pain, but to awaken you. For if the wound is not brought into the light, it will decay in darkness. If you do not see the betrayal, you will never realize that you have given your heart to the wrong person. I allow falsehood to be exposed so that you no longer place your soul in unworthy hands. I let truth appear so you may know that true love draws you closer to me, while false love pulls you away from me. Do not think that betrayal is the end. Before me, betrayal is an opening. That wound, though painful enough to bring you to your knees, is the doorway through which I step deeper into your heart. When someone betrays you, the love you placed in them is withdrawn, and that emptiness becomes room for me. When your pain is too deep for words, your heart becomes soft enough for me to touch. When you feel completely broken, that is when the first stone of true healing is laid. I do not create betrayal, but I use it the way strong winds strip dead leaves from a tree. Look back at the times you were hurt by someone. You thought you were abandoned, but in truth, I was leading you away from a path that did not belong to you. You believed you lost your support, but I was taking away what you had leaned upon in the wrong place. You felt weakened, but I was bringing you into a long process of spiritual strength. You believed you were alone, but I was, placing you in the posture where you could hear me most clearly. Your wound did not destroy you. It opened a door you would never have opened without pain, and within that pain, I renew your soul, restoring your true worth, your true glory, your true peace. So, my child, do not long for those who have left. Do not cling to what I have taken away. Do not blame yourself for what was never meant for you. If you could see what I am preparing ahead, you would thank me for their departure. If you could glimpse the future I have arranged, you would understand that some people are only meant to walk with you for a certain distance, not because they are evil, but because they are not equipped to enter the future I have designed for you. I never remove anything without preparing something better. And when I close the door on a person, it is because you need space for those who will lift you up instead of weighing you down, who will encourage you instead of exhausting you, who will recognize my light in you instead of extinguishing it. Trust me, my child. If they belong to your future, I will keep them. If they leave, it is because I am clearing the way for your deeper restoration. And you will one day understand that no departure can ever overpower the plan I have for you. All you must do is keep walking forward, for those whose presence belongs to the next chapter of your life are already waiting to enter at the moment I appoint. My child, I want to bring you into a deeper understanding of how I guide you. For many times you have stood at a crossroads, hearing countless voices, countless invitations, countless persuasions, yet you did not know which one was truly mine. You have asked, Lord, what is right? Which direction should I take? And I want you to know that peace is the spiritual compass I place within your heart, so you may discern the path that leads to life. The peace I give is not like the fleeting comfort of the world. It is not loud. It does not burn fiercely. It does not pull you forward with overwhelming emotion, but it stands steady like quiet water, calm and deep. Peace does not shout. Peace whispers. Peace does not push you. Peace opens a gentle path for you to enter. Peace does not pressure you. Peace invites you. And whatever disturbs your inner stillness, whatever tightens your heart even slightly, does not come from me. You are often swept away by beautiful words, pleasant invitations, and opportunities that appear bright and promising. You listen to people praise you, invite you, assure you, and paint before you a future filled with hope. But, my child, sweet words can lead you into destruction if you do not discern them through peace. The enemy never pulls you away with frightening things. It pulls you with what seems reasonable, promising, and shimmering with artificial light. It hides its true intention beneath the appeal of convenience, the sweetness of compliments, and the warmth of acceptance. It does not drag you into darkness all at once. It nudges you, gently, softly, and gradually. You hear a piece of advice that sounds logical, even wise, yet somewhere deep within, there is a small uneasiness, just a faint whisper, and that whisper is my warning. You receive an opportunity that everyone insists is good, yet when you close your eyes, you cannot find peace. And that lack of peace, thin as breath, subtle enough to be almost unnoticed, is the strongest word I speak to you. You must remember, peace is not merely an emotion. Peace is a divine confirmation. There are moments when I do not speak through storms, or through loud signs, or through clear manifestations. I speak through silence, a silence that is not the absence of my presence, but a presence so deep it needs no words. You call this silence an emptiness, but it is the space I create so you may listen to something more delicate than any sound, the quieting of your spirit. When I am silent, it is not because I abandon you, It is because you must step away from the noise long enough to realize that my voice does not resemble any other voice in your life. When I am silent, you learn to recognize me through the smallest stirring of your soul rather than through outward signs. This holy silence is the moment when I place my hand upon your shoulder without saying a word, yet the peace flowing within you becomes the answer. My child, I know you have been confused about why I allow painful detours in your life. You have asked, if you love me, why didn't you close this door sooner? Why did you let me enter, only to show me later that it was wrong? Why did you let me get hurt before pulling me out? I want you to understand that my love is not the kind that shields you from every collision with life. My love is a mature love, a love that leads your soul into wisdom. Wisdom you could never gain if you lived only within your comfort zone. There are painful turns I allow not to punish you, but to protect you from a greater destruction you cannot yet see. You think it was failure, but I know that without that path, you would never have the discerning eyes you have today. You think it was loss, but I know that loss severed the ties binding you to what never belonged to your destiny. You think you were pushed into pain for no reason, but it was precisely that pain that softened your soul, sharpened your sensitivity to peace, and taught you to distinguish my voice from deception. You cannot see what I see from the vantage point of eternity. You do not know what lies ahead, but I know it fully. There are relationships that, if I allowed you to hold on to them, would drain your soul until you no longer had strength to do what I have called you to do. There are opportunities that, if I let you walk into them, would take from you far more than they give. There are dreams which, if I allowed you to pursue at the wrong time, would become a burden instead of a blessing. There are choices that appear good to you, yet I see the hidden deception behind them. And so, I close doors, I remove things, I allow them to fail. I let you feel the pain, not because you are unworthy, but because you are too precious for me to let you fall into a destruction you cannot yet perceive. My child, I want you to learn the art of discernment through peace, for without discernment, you will always be swayed by emotions and promises. My peace never contradicts truth. My peace never distracts you from purpose. My peace does not lull you into spiritual sleep. It awakens you. My peace does not lead you to compromise. It leads you into purity. My peace does not feed your ego. It nourishes your soul. My peace does not drive you away from me. It draws you closer. A decision that comes from me will lighten your heart, even if the path is difficult. A calling that comes from me will bring you peace, even if it leads through the narrow way. When you find yourself standing in hesitation, when you are unsure of what to do, when every voice seems to speak at once, seek this first: peace. Not the false peace that comes from avoidance, but the true peace that comes from light. Not the emotional warmth of comfort, but the stillness of the soul. Not the ease of the self, but the deep breath of the Holy Spirit within your chest. Peace is your compass, the first and final word, the strongest signal I place in your heart when you face crossroads that look similar on the surface, yet lead to completely different destinations. My child, when storms rise in your life, raging as though they intend to tear everything apart, you often cry to me in despair, Lord, why did you allow this to happen to me? But I want you to step into a profound truth that those who mature in faith learn through tears. Storms have never come to destroy you. Storms come to refine you, to remove what no longer aligns with your soul, to expose what needs healing, and to open what you could never see in calm days. In Scripture, storms are not senseless punishment, they are transitional. Moments God uses to transform those He loves. The winds pushed the disciples' boat into fear so they could know the power of the one who slept within it. The storm struck Job so that an unconditioned faith could be revealed. The tempest forced Jonah to confront himself and return to the path the Lord had appointed for him. Storms are not the enemies of those who belong to me. Storms are classrooms no one wishes to enter, yet everyone must pass through in order to grow strong, deep, and mature. So it is in your life as well. Storms do not come to erase you, but to turn you away from paths that lead towards spiritual dryness. You see storms as chaos. I see them as the fierce winds sweeping away what has clung to you for far too long. You see storms as loss. I see them as the journey that opens the way to what is better. You see storms as mistakes. I see them as the arrangement that lifts you to a new level of maturity. I do not allow storms to come randomly. I permit them to uproot what peace alone cannot reach. My child, within every trial I allow you to go through, there is a seed of grace. That seed is so small the natural eye cannot see it, yet it is the beginning of life that will sprout once the storm passes. No trial arrives without carrying within it the opportunity for transformation. No pain is woven into your days without including a thread of my restoring plan. No tear falls without watering the seeds buried deep within you. You think trials only leave behind dry ground. I see new life breaking through the soil. You think adversity is only darkness. I see light slipping through every crack. You think pain only weakens you. I see it softening the places in your heart I could never reach when you were strong. Every trial carries the power to free you from what you have clung to for too long. Draining relationships, harmful habits, instinctive fears, distorted values, false pictures of yourself, repressed disappointments, and old wounds you dare not face. There is no trial I do not use to renew your soul. In adversity, I gather the broken pieces you believed were useless and weave them into a more beautiful chapter. In the storm, I pull you away from the things you once believed were foundations, only for you to discover that the one true foundation is me. You often ask why I do not change what is within you gently instead of painfully. You assume transformation can come through soft words, gentle encouragement, and peaceful days. But my child, there are parts of your soul that have grown too calloused, too rigid, too accustomed to rescuing yourself, that only a deep shaking can awaken them. There are corners of your heart where light cannot enter until the storm tears down the walls you built. There are spiritual illnesses that only fire can heal, and there are changes that only adversity can teach you. That is why I allow trials not to make you miserable, but to lead you into the strength you do not yet know you possess. In that season, I was renovating your inner being. I was pouring light into the corners you wished to avoid. I was removing the heavy layers you had grown so accustomed to that you mistook them for a part of yourself. I was dismantling the fragile structures you had leaned on for so long, so that you could rebuild on a foundation that never shakes. I was teaching you to see yourself through my eyes, not through the eyes of the world. I was separating the false from the true so you could discern what is worth keeping and what must be released. There is no renovation without disruption. There is no construction without demolition. There is no renewal without an initial loss. Yet everything you lose in this process will return to you in another form, more beautiful, more profound, more sacred. My child, I want you to learn how to distinguish between the pain of destruction and the pain of rebirth. The pain of destruction drives you to despair, turns you away from me, drains you, and causes your soul to close in on itself. The pain of rebirth is different. It also makes you cry, it also makes you weary, it also makes you feel as though you cannot endure, but it softens your heart, draws you closer to me, makes you more humble, more honest with yourself, and more aware of what truly matters. The pain of rebirth does not break you. It separates you from your former self so you can become the version I intended. That pain does not make you cold. It sharpens your spirit. It does not push you away from me. It pulls you closer. It does not lead you astray. It blows the dust off your eyes so you can see the path clearly. When you were in the middle of the storm, you thought everything was collapsing, but I saw the old structures falling away so the new ones could rise. You thought you were losing everything, but I saw you being freed from things that never belonged to you. You thought I was silent in the storm, but I was right there, keeping you from sinking, teaching you to distinguish between your voice and mine. The storm does not distance me from you. The storm makes you need me more than ever, and in that very need, you discover a new depth of faith, the kind that does not come from theory, nor from tradition, but from the lived experience of realizing that I stand in the storm with you and never take a single step away. So, my child, do not fear the storm anymore. Every trial you walk through is strengthening your soul so it can hold the greater things I am preparing. Every hardship is clearing the way for a stronger life to emerge. Every tear is watering the seeds of grace that are beginning to sprout. Every trembling in your heart is a sign that you are being reborn, not destroyed. The storm is not the end. It is the signal that a new dawn is near. You will not be the same person when you step out of it. You will be stronger, deeper, purer, and closer to me. Walk through the storm with the assurance that I am still here, and that every challenge I permit carries the purpose of saving you, refining you, and shaping you into the eternal design I placed within you from the beginning. My child, I know there were days when you knelt before me with all sincerity, offering prayers you believed would make your life better, brighter, and easier if only I answered them. You said to me, Lord, if you would just open this one door, everything would change. And when that door remained closed, when your prayer was not met in the way you expected, you began to wonder whether I was listening, whether I cared, whether I was even there. But my child, you did not know that some of the prayers I do not answer are the deepest form of protection I give you. Not everything you want is what you need. Not everything you think is a blessing will lead you into blessing. There are things you believe would improve your life, but I know that if I opened that door, your soul would pay for it with dryness, confusion, or even spiritual ruin. My child, I do not reject your prayers. I protect you from what you cannot yet see. You only see the front side of the door. I see the dark corridor behind it. You see the immediate comfort. I see the long-term erosion. You see the stepping stone to a dream. I see the trap disguised as opportunity. You think I make you wait to test you, but in truth, I make you wait to save you. There are prayers you have prayed with tears, thinking I was ignoring you. But in reality, I was speaking to you in a way you did not always recognize, through silence. My silence is not neglect. It is like a shade protecting you under intense heat. You cannot see its shape, but it keeps you from burning. My silence is like an invisible hand holding you back before you step into what does not belong to you. That silence is a gift, for if I answered everything you asked for, you would soon be overwhelmed by the very things you requested. My child, there are doors I will never open, no matter how desperately you knock. You once thought that was failure, that life was treating you unfairly, but I want you to know this truth. There are doors which, if I opened according to your desire, would lead you into desolation. There are relationships which, if I allowed to begin, would slowly suffocate your peace. There are jobs which, if I let you accept, would turn you into someone who chases the wrong values. There are places you want to go where unseen spiritual battles await, battles you are not yet strong enough to face. There are dreams you think are your destiny, but in reality, they are only desires wrapped in the language of calling. There are wishes which, if fulfilled, would become burdens that exhaust your soul. When a door does not open, it does not mean that I do not love you. A door that remains closed is a sign that my love is stronger than your desire. You cannot see the things I block from your path, the hidden betrayals, the wounds that would follow, the years you would lose if you walked the wrong direction, the emotional attachments that would bind you, the shadows waiting to devour the light within you. I close that door before it consumes you, because I know well that if you step into it, you would trade what is eternal for something painfully temporary. My child, let me make this clear. My silence is not my absence. My silence is intervention. There are moments when I am silent so you will not run after the noise of your emotions. There are moments when I am silent to draw your mind back to stillness, where you can hear me more clearly. There are moments when I am silent so you will stop clinging to easy solutions and begin holding on to me instead. When I am silent, you learn to discern what comes from me and what comes from the cravings of your own heart. When I am silent, your spirit grows sharper and more sensitive to divine leading. When I am silent, you must lean on peace rather than signs, and it is in that place that your faith becomes its greatest. My child, do you know what the greatest gift of faith truly is? It is not believing me when I act, but believing me even when I say nothing. Trusting me in the light is simple. Trusting me in the dark is maturity. Believing me when I deliver you quickly is easy for anyone. Believing me when you must wait, when you do not understand, when the path before you seems hidden, that is genuine trust. And it is in the seasons of my silence that the true nature of our relationship is revealed. You will know whether you seek me for who I am, or only for what I give. You will know whether your confidence rests in my hand or in my heart. When I remain silent, I am not leading you astray. I am rooting you deeper. into the truth that my love does not shift with circumstances. I am teaching your soul to stand firm in the storm, not because you know the answer, but because you know the one who holds your hand. That silence draws you out of dependence on feelings and ushers you into trust based on my nature. I am not silent because I am far. I am silent to draw you closer. My child, look back at the seasons in which I was silent. You may not have seen answers immediately, but you survived. You endured. You grew stronger. You became more awake. Your eyes learned to discern more clearly. And that itself is proof that the silence did not kill you, it healed you. So when you stand before a door that refuses to open, stop pounding. Place your hand over your chest and ask, is there peace? If there is none, then no matter how beautiful that door appears, it is not meant for you. Remember this. I never take anything from you without preparing something better. The door I open will carry light, not desolation. The answer I give will carry peace, not confusion. The path I lead you on will carry life, not loss. Trust me even when I am silent, for in that very silence, I am protecting the eternal part of you, something your own desire is not always wise enough to guard. And when I finally open the true door, you will know it instantly, because peace will flood your heart the way dawn fills a dark room without needing to knock. My child, I want to bring you into a truth that, if you grasp it, will lighten your soul, free your steps, and deepen your relationship with me immeasurably. The true measure of spiritual life is not that you never fall, but how quickly you rise after each fall. You have blamed yourself for repeated mistakes, for weaknesses you cannot shake immediately, for the days when emotions pull you, for the moments when you falter, or even return to things you once let go. But I want you to know a liberating truth. I do not measure you by perfection. I measure you by returning. Those who try to make themselves flawless often fall into pride or despair, but those who know how to return when they are weak, these are the ones who truly understand my heart. Do you want to know the true measure of a mature soul? It is not that they never fail. It is not that they never feel temptation. It is not that they never repeat an old mistake. The measure is the speed of their return. When they slip, they run to me instead of hiding from me. When they do wrong, they confess rather than conceal. When they feel weak, they pray rather than attempt strength in their own power. When they lose direction, they pause to listen rather than rush forward in anxious striving. This continual, persistent, unrelenting returning, this is what keeps their soul in the light. You once believed that you had to be worthy in order for me to love you, but my child, my love precedes your worthiness. You once believed you needed to cleanse yourself before daring to come to me, but no, when you were still covered in dirt, I was the one who washed you. You once believed that sin distanced you from me, but in truth, sin only distances you from yourself. As for me, I remain where I have always been, so close that even a sigh from your weary heart reaches me without delay. You may fall 1,000 times, but what brings me joy is not the number of times you avoid falling. It is the number of times you return. My child, remember this. My grace is deeper than the pit of your sin. There is no darkness so thick that my light cannot pierce through it. There is no mistake so heavy that my mercy cannot carry it. There is no past so stained that I cannot transform it into a testimony of restoration. If you could truly grasp the width, the depth, and the height of my grace, you would never again dare to say, "It is too late. I am too broken. I have disappointed God too much." Those thoughts do not come from me. They come from darkness, darkness that wants you to believe you cannot change, that wants you to remain in regret, that wants you to think you are unworthy of returning. My child, I ask you this. If a child learning to walk falls down, would a father scold him for not running yet? Or would the father lift him up, wipe his tears, and say, "You did well, try again"? If earthly parents respond with such tenderness, how much more will I, the Father of all mercy, do for you? I do not demand that you be perfect at once. I ask for the consistency of your returning steps. Each time you return sooner, your heart becomes softer, your soul grows brighter, and your spiritual sight becomes clearer. Each time you rise, a portion of darkness loses its grip on you. Each time you run back to me, your true nature, being a child of the light, is restored again. There are moments when you fall not because you are weak, but because you have yet to understand what caused you to stumble. I allow you to fall so you may learn how to guard your heart more wisely. There are moments when you fall because you rely on your own strength. I allow you to meet your limits so you may seek strength from me instead. There are moments when you fall because old patterns within you have not fully died. I allow you to feel the sting of disappointment so you may learn that transformation is a journey, not an instant miracle. Do you think I see your fall and feel disappointed? No, I see your fall and feel compassion. Do you think I am angry because you repeated your mistake? No, I am saddened only because you believe I do not want you to come home. My child, I want to teach you how to distinguish between guilt and the conviction of the Holy Spirit. Guilt drives you away from me, makes you feel worthless, and convinces you that I have turned my face from you. That is the voice of the enemy. The conviction of the Holy Spirit is different. It is gentle, clear, and always opens a path toward returning. It does not bind, it liberates. It does not cause self-hatred, it draws you closer to me. It does not push you downward, it lifts you up. And if, after you fail, the first thing you feel is fear of approaching me, that is not the voice of the Spirit, that is the whisper of darkness. I never reject the one who desires to return. But my child, in order to rise more quickly after each fall, you must lay down guilt. Guilt is a burden that does not belong to you. Guilt slows your steps, keeping you in the mud instead of helping you stand. Guilt tells you that you are unworthy, but grace tells you that you were loved before you ever became worthy. Guilt looks at your sin, but grace looks at your capacity to be renewed. Guilt traps you in the past, but grace draws you into the future I have prepared. Guilt says you are ruined, but grace says I am reshaping you. When you rise, rise with a restored confidence. Believe that I am not far. Believe that I have not changed my mind about you. Believe that my promises are not undone by your failures. Believe that I am still writing your story even when you find yourself in a dark chapter. Believe that every time you return, I look at you, not with disappointment, but with delight. Like the father in the parable of the prodigal son, he did not wait for his child to kneel and apologize before embracing him. He ran to him while he was still far away. Do you think I love you any less than that, Father? My child, learn this vital spiritual art. Rise quickly. Do not give darkness time to speak its lies. Do not allow guilt to take root. Do not permit failure to steal the completion I am forming within you. Do not let one fall pull you away from me for many days. When you rise quickly, you disrupt the schemes of darkness. When you return at once, you restore your spiritual connection. When you run toward me, even while trembling, you declare that grace is greater than sin. I do not see you through the lens of your falls. I see you through the lens of your returns. Every time you run back to me, heaven rejoices. Every time you rise, darkness trembles. Every time you say, Lord, I'm here again, I say, your Father is still here. Therefore, my child, rise faster, lighter, freer. Each time you stand up, you are stepping into the version I designed for you from the beginning. Not a person who never falls, but a person who knows how to return, and every return becomes a moment of transformation. Your falling does not make me love you less. Your falling only makes me desire to hold you closer. And when you learn the sacred art of rising quickly, you will see that failure is no longer an ending, but a stepping stone toward a deeper rebirth. You will no longer fear falling, because you know I am always there, waiting for you to rise and walk forward again. My child, stepping into the path of renewal means stepping into an unavoidable confrontation between truth and old habits, between the light I am planting within you and the shadows you have leaned on for so many years. This is not a battle fought in a single day, nor is it a battle you can evade with distraction or by pretending to be strong. It is a quiet, profound battle that begins the moment you open your heart to let my light in. And, my child, when true light enters, old habits begin to tremble, for darkness never stands still when light touches it. But I want you to remember something first. Old habits do not die instantly. They die slowly, very slowly, yet surely, when you allow light to reach the exact place where they have been hiding. You have grown accustomed to living by automatic reactions, protecting yourself with silence, avoiding truth through busyness, numbing your pain with fleeting comforts, hiding your fear behind an appearance of strength. These things did not appear out of nowhere. They were formed through years of wounds, through the times you survived by your own strength, through days when no one understood you. They became your mechanisms, the invisible habits that kept you standing during the seasons when you felt you did not have me. But now, as you stand under my light, these mechanisms begin to shake. They weaken, they resist, they pull at you because they fear their own death. You feel torn between two worlds, one part longing for renewal, the other clinging to the familiar. You think this tension is your failure, but no, my child, this is the sign that life is beginning to move again. For when an old habit begins to die, it does not leave quietly. It struggles, it makes you uncomfortable. It brings restlessness, resistance, and weariness. You find it harder to pray. You find it heavier to release what is old. You find your heart trembling when you open yourself to me. But, my child, understand this. The pain of change is not the sign of destruction. It is the sign of a soul coming back to life. A heart that is turned to stone does not feel pain. A numb spirit does not resist anything. But when the heart begins to beat again, and the soul begins to awaken, the ache becomes evidence that dead ground is cracking open so new life can rise. You once believed that pain meant you were doing something wrong. But I tell you that there are two kinds of pain: the pain of decay and the pain of rebirth. The pain of decay pulls you downward. The pain of rebirth pulls you out of your old self. You are experiencing the second kind. When an old habit dies, it leaves behind an empty space, and that space is where I plant truth. When a shadowed place is touched by light, it can no longer hide, it must surface, it must be healed. So, my child, do not flee from this pain. Allow it to lead you to the place where I am doing my deepest work within you. There are regions within your soul that you have hidden with great care, old wounds, the words you have spoken to yourself for years, the quiet fears you never dared to express, the judgments you have never acknowledged, the emotions you believed you had already moved past. But as you step closer to the light, all of these begin to surface. You think you are becoming weaker, but no, you are becoming more real. You think you are regressing, but in truth, you are entering a deeper part of your soul, the place where I have never stopped waiting for you. My child, light does not reveal to condemn. Light reveals to heal. If I shine light into your darkness, it is not to shame you, but to set you free. You have grown accustomed to calling that darkness personality, wound, experience, a part of who I am. But when I look at it, I say, no, this is not you. This is only dust that has settled upon your soul. When my light enters, that dust rises. It stings your eyes and startles you, but in that very moment, I am cleansing you. My child, know this. Allowing truth to enter is never an easy step. Truth is loving, yet it does not pamper the ego. Truth is gentle, yet it never compromises with darkness. Truth restores, but it must expose before it can rebuild. And when truth confronts old patterns, a small battle ignites within your heart. You feel pulled in opposite directions, as though you are being torn in two, but this is proof that darkness no longer owns that territory. It is being driven out, slowly but surely. Notice this. In the early days, you think you are moving backward because the things you once hid are now surfacing. But, my child, when the soil is plowed, weeds finally emerge to be uprooted. When the light shines, dust is revealed so it can be swept away. When water softens the ground, the stones buried beneath rise to the surface. No healing takes place in the dark. No freedom can come unless you first see the chains that bind you. And my child, I want you to know this deep in your spirit. Every part of you that comes into the light is not a sign of exposure, but a sign of my intervention. If I had no desire to heal it, I would have left it untouched. If I had no intention to transform you, I would have let your old habits continue their quiet rule. But I love you too much to let you live with these wounds for even one more day. So I stir, I uncover, I disrupt so that I may heal. My child, do not panic when the old things rise again. Do not think you are getting worse. No, you are seeing yourself with clarity. Truth is shining in the right place. Old patterns are dissolving, and your soul, instead of dying quietly, is beginning to come alive again. Alive in truth, alive in freedom, alive in the way I designed you from the beginning. Let this process unfold. Do not force yourself to appear strong. Do not run from what is being exposed. Do not call it failure. Call it what it truly is, a redemptive confrontation between light and the old parts of you. And the light, my child, the light always wins. You need only remain, open your heart, and allow me to continue the work I have begun in you. My child, I want you to sit still, take a deep breath, and let this truth fall into your spirit like holy oil. I see beauty in the broken places within you, beauty you cannot see for yourself. You often look at the cracks of your past, the mistakes, the chapters you wish you could erase, the wounded places you think are ugly, shameful, unworthy of being seen, and you assume that is the reason I cannot use you. But I look directly at those cracks and say, here, right here, my light can shine through. Like a clay vessel with a crack, it is not when it is flawless that the light is visible, but when the crack opens that the light finds a passage. You think the crack diminishes your value, but in truth, the crack makes you unique. You think the wound keeps you from me, but it is the wound that draws you to me, and I gladly step in. When a vessel has no opening, the light stays inside, but when the vessel is cracked, the light shines outward and touches others. My child, I do not need you to hide those cracks. I need you to bring them to me so I may pour my light into them. The wounds in your life are not your failures, they are the doors through which grace enters. I do not come to those who believe they are perfect. I come to those who know they need to be touched, healed, and lifted from where they have fallen. The parts of yourself you despise are the very places where I long to work most deeply. The places you call too broken are the places where I shape the greatest beauty. The places where you are weakest are the very places where my strength shines the brightest. My child, do you remember what I once spoke to Paul? My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. You see your weakness as an obstacle. I see it as the wide space where I may step in. You see your shortcomings as shame. I see them as the place where my love can be poured out most abundantly. You see your wounds as failure. I see them as the beginning point of transformation. My child, many times you have tried to patch those cracks with your own strength. You have used willpower, discipline, and hardened resolve to cover what you assumed I would reject. But all of those efforts have only wearied your soul further. You were not created to heal yourself. The soul is not like the body. It does not recover merely with time. It is healed by my touch, not by your ability, but by my mercy, not by your perfection, but by my faithfulness, not by your striving, but by the love that always moves first toward you. My child, I want you to understand this clearly so you will not spend another day living under the weight of shame. You are not saved by your own strength. You are saved by mine. You are not healed because you are good enough. You are healed because I am good enough. You are not restored because you win every battle. You are restored because I have won in your place. I do not wait for you to stand firm before I touch you. I touch you so you may stand firm. I do not wait for you to become worthy before I love you. I love you so that you may know your true worth. The wounds in your life, betrayal, abandonment, deep loneliness, the cuts left by words, the unnamed fears. You think they make you less, but when I look at them, I still see you beautiful, beloved, valuable, whole in my eyes. For I do not look at you through your wounds, but through the one who died for you. And that one, I myself, does not see a wound as the end of your story, but as the birthplace of restoration. My child, there are parts of you that you hide carefully because you fear that if they come into the light, I will turn away from you. But I ask you this, how could I turn away from what I died to save? How could I reject the one whose name I called before you were even formed? You hide because you are afraid of judgment. But I did not come to condemn, I came to heal. As long as a wound remains in the dark, it will continue to hurt you. But when you bring it to me, I may lay my hand upon it, and anything I touch lives again. My child, you do not need to come. before me looking strong. You need only bring the most tattered parts of you, for those very torn places are where I make my greatest miracles. Do you think my glory is displayed through perfect people? No, my glory shines through those who are broken yet willing, those who have fallen yet choose to rise, those who have hurt yet keep believing, those who have feared yet still step toward me. These are the souls whose light shines brighter than anything the world calls flawless. My child, in my hands, a crack is not the end of beauty, it is the beginning of light. And when that light breaks through the crack, your life does not merely revive, it becomes a source of hope for others who are broken the way you once were. They will look at you and see something wondrous, that it is not the strong who are saved, but the ones who know they need a savior. Not the flawless who are used, but the willing who let me touch them. Not the unscarred who shine, but the wounded who are filled with my light, who become the most radiant. So, my child, do not hide anymore. Do not call yourself damaged. Do not think your wounds push me away. On the contrary, the very places where you ache are the places I long to enter. Give me those fragments, and I will turn them into places overflowing with light. Give me those cracks, and I will make them into windows through which others may see me through your life. My child, I want to lead you into one of the deepest truths of the spiritual journey, a truth both breathtaking in beauty and trembling in its weight. Freedom is the holiest gift I have given humanity, yet it is also the greatest risk every person must face. When I created you, I did not make a slave, nor did I form an automated vessel that follows orders without question. I fashioned you with the power to choose the power, to say yes or no, to open your heart or turn away, to love or to refuse love. That freedom is not a license for indulgence. It is the space in which love can exist authentically. For love cannot be forced. Love is only beautiful when it is given freely. Have you ever wondered why I allow you to have choices? Why I did not create you like the angels, always obedient, always right, always dwelling in the light? Why I gave you the power to decide, even though I knew that this very power could lead you astray? My child, the answer lies in the nature of love itself. If I were to compel you, the love you offer me would no longer be love, it would simply be programming. If I forced you to choose correctly, you would cease to be yourself. You would become an empty vessel with no heart, no will, and no true identity. And I am not seeking puppets, I am seeking children. I do not desire souls that are controlled. I desire souls that freely choose to return to me, so that the love between us is built on freedom, never coercion. My child, it is precisely because love must include freedom that I accepted the greatest risk, the risk that you might choose to walk away from me. Freedom is a gift that can be used to build bridges or to build walls, but I cannot take it from you, because to do so would erase the very thing that makes you bear my image, the ability to choose. And it is this ability that makes you unlike any other creature. Freedom is the capacity to love, but freedom is also the capacity to resist love. I love you enough to let you choose, even when your choice may wound me. You often ask me, Lord, why don't you force me, stop me, or pull me away from what is wrong? And I answer you gently, if I forced you, you would no longer be you. If I stopped you with absolute power, you would never learn discernment. If I suffocated your will, you would never experience spiritual maturity. If I controlled every step of your path like a marionette, you would never know the joy of choosing the light for yourself. And I want the love between us to be built, not on compulsion, but on willingness, on the determined, intentional choice to walk through darkness in order to return to me. My child, the saddest part is not the great, obvious mistakes. The saddest part is the small choices, repeated each day, quietly building the wall between you and me. That wall is not constructed by a single act of betrayal, nor by one sudden sinful decision. It is built from small bricks, those moments when you say, it's no big deal, or I'll pray tomorrow, or just this once, or I'm too tired to listen, or I can handle this myself, or I know this isn't right, but every small choice is a stone added to the structure. And when the wall grows tall enough, you look around and wonder why you can no longer see me, though I am still right there on the other side, simply hidden by what you have built. My child, I do not build walls. I do not withdraw. I do not step back. But you can push yourself into the shadows without even realizing it. No one constructs that wall separating you from me. You place each stone with the small decisions you dismiss as harmless, a little bitterness you refuse to release, a small compromise in your thoughts, a hint of pride, a moment of comparison, a trace of envy, a bit of distraction, a little laziness in prayer. And then you wonder why my voice seems quieter, why my presence feels distant. It is not because I have moved, it is because the wall has grown from the very things you believed were insignificant. I do not tear that wall down by force. I do not crush it against your will. I stand beside it and wait for you to open even the smallest crack. Just a single opening, a sincere prayer, a moment of surrender, a whispered, "Lord, I need you, and I will do the rest." But the crack must be opened by you, because I honor your freedom even more than I long to pull you back to me. My child, freedom is the most precious gift, but it is also the greatest challenge. It gives you the power to choose life or death, light or darkness, truth or deception. But I want you to understand this. Freedom is not a burden requiring you to strain alone. Freedom is an invitation to companionship. You are free, but not meant to be free in isolation. You are free so that you may willingly place that freedom back into my hands, not as a loss, but as a placing of yourself into the safest place you can be. And my child, every day, every hour, every moment, you have the chance to choose again. No one loses the opportunity to choose the light unless they stop choosing. A wall may be built brick by brick, but it can also be undone crack by crack, and every opening through which I am allowed to enter becomes a place where darkness is driven away. So my child, do not fear freedom. Learn to use it rightly. Give it back to me. Allow me to guide your will, to shape your decisions, to be the light illuminating your heart each time you stand at a crossroads. When you choose me, though you could choose otherwise, that is love. When you choose the light, though darkness calls to you, that is victory. When you choose to return every time you stumble, that is true strength. My beloved child, there comes a moment in every journey of spiritual maturity, a moment that no one can avoid when you place your will into my hands, not as an act of desperate surrender, but as an awakened offering, a union from which every new direction is born. Many believe that giving me their will means losing themselves, losing their freedom, losing their identity. But, my child, the truth is the exact opposite. When you cling too tightly to your own desires, they often become chains that bind you to old patterns, unconscious reactions, and unspoken wounds. But when you place your will in my hands, you do not lose yourself. You simply stop giving the darkness within you the authority to steer your life. That is where true freedom begins. My child, the first step in healing the deepest shadows within you is not to force yourself to change by your own strength, nor is it to pressure yourself to become better, stronger, or holier. The first step is the courage to look directly at yourself and whisper, "Lord, I place this into your hands." It sounds simple, yet it is one of the hardest things to do, because you are used to handling everything, alone, to managing, resisting, and surviving. You have carried those burdens for so long that they have become part of your identity, so much so that without them, you fear losing your sense of stability. But, my child, those forms of stability are not light. They are merely old habits disguised as safety. When you surrender your will to me, those habits begin to crack, little by little, so light can finally seep in. And do you know, the transformation that happens in this season is not loud. It does not strike like lightning across the sky, nor does it shake the earth like a thunderous roar. It feels more like a gentle breath, a subtle shift so delicate that in the early days, even you may not notice it. Yet for all its smallness, it is the deepest change of all. I begin nudging you out of familiar orbits, out of instinctive reactions that once tormented you. I plant within you a new stillness, a new sensitivity, a renewed longing for what is right, something you once lacked the strength to pursue. And as your will begins to align with mine, you will notice that your decisions are no longer driven by impulse or fear of judgment. They start to flow from a deeper source, the source of peace. My child, let me reveal a secret that many overlook. My will is not a checklist for you to comply with. My will is like a current, and when you merge with that current, you will feel a new rhythm awakening in your soul. It is not a rhythm of force, but of clarity and gentleness. You will find yourself less rushed in situations that once overwhelmed you. You will find yourself calmer when someone speaks words that once would have pierced your heart. You will find yourself less attached to things that no longer align with your spirit. And these small shifts are the signs that your spiritual awareness is awakening. As that awareness grows, you will begin to see things you never noticed before. You will discern which doors I am opening and which ones I am closing. You will sense my touch in events that seem ordinary, a passing comment that stirs reflection, a soft breeze that quiets your heart, a moment of silence that brings understanding no human ever taught you. You may think these things are coincidences, but they are my companionship. When your will aligns with mine, you become sensitive to the subtle signals I send, and the pieces of your life begin fitting together in ways that feel mysterious yet unmistakably right. My child, there are changes that unfold even when you cannot feel them. You will find yourself less eager to argue, less eager to prove yourself, less eager to cling to what is not yours. You will feel a softening when you must release a toxic relationship because you understand that letting go is part of healing. You will show yourself more patience than you once believed possible. And one day, you will look back and realize you have traveled much farther than you imagined, not because you forced yourself forward, but because you made room for me to take the seat I have always waited for. My beloved child, surrendering your will is not losing control. It is entrusting the reins to the one to whom your heart has always belonged. As long as you try to control everything, you will live in tension, anxiety, and fear. But when you entrust your will to me, something miraculous unfolds. My will does not swallow you. It unveils within you the most beautiful version of who you truly are, the version you were created to become. Do not think that I desire to turn you into someone else. No, my child. What I long for is to bring you back to the true self I fashioned before pain, fear, and disappointment shaped you into a different version of yourself. When your will becomes one with mine, you are reshaped, but your essence remains. You are refined, but never erased. You are lifted up, but never stripped of your own voice. That union is the very place where new direction is born, a direction no longer driven by your self-defense, but guided by my love. And my child, that union is not a single moment. It is a journey, a process, a new rhythm of life. Each day, when you whisper, Lord, your will, not mine, another layer of darkness within you falls away. Each day, when you pause to listen, instead of rushing after instinct, the light enters a little deeper. Each day, when you choose what is right even as the easy path beckons, your soul grows stronger. And little by little, you will see your life change in a way nothing in this world could ever produce. My beloved child, when you surrender your will to mine, you do not step into weakness, you step into strength. You do not step into loss, you step into guidance. You do not lose yourself, you rediscover who you truly are. And in that union, you walk into a new direction where light is not only before you, but rises from within you. My beloved child, there will come a moment in your journey when prayer is no longer a task, no longer a morning routine or a bedtime recitation, but becomes the breath of your soul. You no longer come to me out of habit, but because you sense that even a small distance from me makes your heart grow heavy again. At that point, prayer is no longer something you do, but something you are. It becomes a rhythm of being, the quiet breeze soothing the hidden corners of your inner life, the steady stream flowing beneath the surface of everything you do. And it is then that my presence becomes unmistakably real, in a way words cannot fully explain. My child, when your soul begins to perceive the movement of the Holy Spirit, you will realize there is a subtle rhythm beneath everything you experience. You may find yourself doing something ordinary, yet a gentle warmth wraps around you, like someone placing a hand on your shoulder. You will notice moments when no one speaks, yet within you arises an encouragement, a reminder, a flash of insight. This is not imagination. It is the Holy Spirit awakening spiritual sensitivity within you, so you may know that I am not far away. I am walking each step of the day with you. When the Holy Spirit moves, you will no longer feel the confusion you once felt whenever you stood at a crossroads. The things that once filled you with anxiety will appear clearer, not because circumstances have changed, but because your eyes have been opened to my guidance. The Holy Spirit does not always speak in loud words. He touches your heart through timely intuitions, gentle impressions that make you pause or prompt you to move forward. There will be times when you do not immediately understand why He tells you to slow down or why He places an urgency in your heart to act, but you will see that every time you obey, a door of peace opens before you. My child, when prayer becomes the breath of your being, the first thing that changes is your speech. It is not that you force yourself to control every sentence, but your words naturally become gentler, more patient, more understanding. You will find yourself reacting less impulsively. Hurtful words that once escaped your mouth so easily now stop right at the edge of your tongue, not because you strain to restrain yourself, but because a quiet current from me is stopping harshness from rising in a moment of anger. Every word you speak becomes a mirror reflecting your inner state, and that inner state, now, is steeped in my presence. Not only do your words change, but your reactions transform as well. You will notice you are less drawn into unnecessary arguments. You are no longer swept away by emotional storms the way you once were. The things that used to ignite your temper now seem smaller, because in that very moment you hear a whisper, "My peace is here." You will no longer desire to win every confrontation. Instead, you will seek harmony. You will no longer chase after praise. You will seek what brings peace to your heart. Your defensive instincts will lose their grip, because you will feel my protection the very moment fear begins to rise. And then, my child, even your thoughts will be gradually cleansed. The chaotic streams of thought that once flooded your mind will settle. You will find yourself no longer overanalyzing the intentions of others, no longer drowning in the fear of abandonment, no longer consumed by what people say about you. For when prayer becomes breath, you are anchored to a deeper truth, a truth that cannot be shaken, that I am with you, and my presence is enough for you to walk lightly through each day. Your thoughts begin to be guided by clarity, not anxiety. The exhausting calculations fade away, making room for the understanding that comes from the Holy Spirit. My child, when my presence becomes unmistakably clear, you step into a new phase, one that is deep, steady, and enduring. This is not the stage of overflowing emotions, constant tears, or trembling awe as when you first encountered grace. This is a deeper stage, like the ocean, after surviving great waves, now calm yet filled with immense power. You no longer run to me only when you need rescue. You walk with me in every breath you take. This brings a stability to your soul unlike anything you have known before. This stage marks true maturity. You do not merely know about me, you experience me. You do not only trust me on joyful days, you cling to me on the days when no path seems visible. You do not simply hear about the Holy Spirit, you sense every movement He stirs within you. You do not only read my words, you witness them becoming alive in your reactions, your choices, and your daily speech. In this stage, your faith no longer rests on emotion but on a profound understanding that I am the one who leads you. My beloved child, I want you to know that this stage is not the final destination, but the firm foundation from which you will enter even deeper realms. As you live in the rhythm of prayer and the movement of the Spirit, you will begin to understand realities that you once only heard others describe: unshakable peace, steadfastness in trials, clarity amid chaos. You will become someone you never imagined you could be, not because you strive until exhaustion, but because my presence renews you from within. There is a season, my child, that every soul maturing in me must eventually enter. A season in which you no longer need thunder, clear signs, or surges of emotion to know that I am with you. This is when spiritual maturity no longer depends on feelings, but is built upon a firm understanding and a quiet, deep trust. You walk in the light not because everything around you is bright, but because you know the light itself dwells within you. And every step you take, whether gentle or unsteady, becomes your whispered response to me. Here I am. In the beginning, a person often needs a clear sign to believe. They need to see a door open unexpectedly, hear a strangely timed confirmation, or feel a powerful emotion shaking their heart. But one who has grown in me does not walk by such signs. They walk by the certainty engraved upon their heart by the Holy Spirit. You no longer need a blinding light to know the path. A single small beam is enough, because you know the one who holds the flame. This is the hallmark of spiritual maturity: to walk without panic, to stand without groping in fear, to wait without losing heart. I want you to understand that this maturity does not come because you have studied much or listened much, but because you have experienced me long enough to know I never let go. A spiritually mature person is not someone who never faces storms, but someone who knows that no matter how fierce the wind becomes, their house is built on the rock. They do not need loud encouragement. One breath from me is enough to remind them they belong to me. And you, my child, are entering this very stage, a stage where your "here I am" is not only spoken by your lips, but expressed through every small choice you make each day. The challenges you face in this season are not punishments. They are the training ground of the soul, where spiritual muscles are formed. I do not send trials to harm you, but to give you the opportunity to discover that you are stronger than you think. Every time you respond with peace instead of panic, that is a victory. Every time you hold on to faith instead of running after fear, that is progress. Every time you choose forgiveness instead of letting resentment imprison you, that is maturity. These quiet moments, my child, are what shape a steadfast soul. Trials are not obstacles, they are invitations. Invitations to go deeper, invitations to release old patterns, invitations to see yourself through light-filled eyes, invitations to let me reshape what is unfinished. And each time you answer that invitation with "here I am," I open a new layer of peace you have never touched before. Maturity is not that you never fall, but that you rise faster, gentler, with less self-condemnation and more hope. That is the beauty of a soul growing in me. My child, discipline in prayer is an essential part of this journey. But the discipline I speak of is not punishment, not obligation, not a rigid chain of duties. Spiritual discipline is like a steady heartbeat. It keeps you alive, balanced, and in rhythm with peace. When you maintain daily prayer, you are not proving anything to me. You are nourishing your soul with the breath of life itself. And it is this very discipline that opens the door to true freedom. It is a paradox, my child. The very thing you practice consistently is the thing that brings you freedom. When you pray regularly, your heart is no longer ruled by emotion. When you sit in stillness before me each day, anxieties can no longer disturb you so easily. When you come to me in the morning, at noon, and in the evening, you are no longer swept away by the relentless currents of life. That discipline does not bind you. It frees you from what has bound you for so long: panic, the fear of abandonment, impulsive reactions, and the voice of harsh self-judgment. The discipline of prayer allows you to become free within your own being. My child, when you walk in my guidance, even the smallest things you do become a whispered "here I am." When you choose to be kind to yourself, when you speak gently to another, when you refuse to be drawn into useless arguments, when you choose a quiet mind instead of chasing every rumor, each of these is your response to me. I do not need grand gestures to hear your voice. The quiet things, when done in the light, are enough to move heaven. And my child, you will begin to see something wondrous. When you live in my leading, you no longer follow behind me in fear. You walk beside me in peace. Each day ceases to be a battle for survival and becomes a journey of partnership with me. You do not run, you do not rush, you do not panic, you do not strain. You take one step at a time, and each step becomes worship. This is the most enduring form of maturity, when your everyday life becomes a song. When you say, "Here I am," you are saying that you are ready to do whatever good I place before you, no matter how small. When you say, "Here I am," you are saying that you will not run from truth, from healing, or from my light. When you say, "Here I am," you are opening the door for me to continue transforming you. And it is that repeated phrase in every choice, every reaction, every prayer that brings you into true maturity. My child, continue walking this way, not loudly, not hastily, but always responding to me with your presence. For every step you give to me, leads you closer to the purpose I planted in you from the beginning. You are not lost. You are being led. You are not alone. I am walking with you, and your "Here I am" continues to resound in heaven like the most beautiful hymn a soul can sing. My beloved child, perhaps on many nights you have looked upward and asked, "Lord, what is it that you want for my life? Why do you not speak plainly, point clearly, or reveal everything from the beginning so I would not feel so confused?" That question does not trouble me. It is the honest cry of a soul longing for meaning. I hear every sigh when you feel you are walking in circles, when you see others with seemingly clear paths while you feel as though you are moving through fog. But my child, there are things which, if I were to reveal too early, would become a burden instead of grace, pressure instead of invitation. It is not that I wish to hide anything from you. I wish to protect you from your own impatience and immaturity. If I reveal your purpose too soon, when your heart is still unhealed and unprepared, you might turn that purpose into a throne upon which you try to prove your worth. You might see it as a stage where you must convince the world that you matter, that you are not insignificant, that you deserve recognition. In that case, what was designed to make you a gift to the world would become a garment for showing off. I love you too much to allow that. That is why I am not in a hurry. I do not send you into battle before you know how to wield a sword. I do not give you a ship before you learn to read the wind. I do not place you before a crowd when your heart is still easily shattered by a single disdainful glance. My child, the role of inner preparation in discovering your purpose is far greater than you realize. There are seasons when, on the outside, nothing seems to be happening. No new doors, no major opportunities, no visible turning points. You are tempted to call it wasted time, falling behind, or moving slower than others. But in these seemingly quiet seasons, I am quietly working within you. I place questions in your heart, so you must face yourself. Why are you running? What are you afraid of? What are you trying to prove? What do you truly believe about me and about yourself? I show you the wounds yet untouched, the scars still hidden, the fears you continue to avoid. I do this not to torment you, but to widen the vessel within you, lest when your true purpose arrives, it shatters the container still too narrow to hold it. Inner preparation is like my quiet clearing of a field. I pull out bitter roots you assumed were part of you. I turn over the hardened layers of soil where resentment, doubt, and comparison have taken root. I remove the stones of shame, pride, insecurity, and the habit of wanting to control every outcome. My child, you desire purpose, but you must also accept the process of being shaped for that purpose. For what I give you is not merely a role to perform, it is a depth of being I am building within you, so that even if the winds shift, you will not lose your direction. I want you to understand this. True purpose never contradicts the deep peace within you. Flesh-driven ambition is different. It always pushes you into tension, always whispering that you are not enough, that you must be faster, more noticeable, more impressive. Flesh-driven ambition uses people as stepping stones. It causes you to see every relationship as an opportunity, every accomplishment as a label, every success as a reason to prove yourself. True purpose is the opposite. It makes you desire to serve rather than to dominate, to build rather than to possess, to give rather than to gather. Ambition springs from the fear that you have no value. True purpose flows from the assurance that you were loved before you ever accomplished anything. My child, one of the reasons I did not reveal your purpose earlier is because I saw clearly the mixture inside you, the sacred calling intertwined with the need to be recognized. For your true purpose to stand firm, I must lead you through seasons in which applause falls silent, seasons in which you do what is right and no one knows, seasons in which you remain faithful in small things no one notices. In those silent seasons, I am laying a new foundation. You learn to rejoice because I am pleased, not because people are impressed. You learn to stand steady when there are no lights, no audience, no compliments. Only then can I place greater things into your hands without fearing that a little bit of glory would make you lose yourself. My child, ask your heart this question. Deep within you, what do you truly desire? Do you want to live so that people remember your name? Or do you want this world to be touched by my Love through your life even if your name is forgotten. Do you want a position, or do you want a life that truly impacts weary souls? Do you want to be seen, or do you want others to be healed? These questions are not meant to make you feel guilty, but to help you discern the voice of true purpose from the voice of fleshly ambition dressed in spiritual clothing. When your soul becomes still enough, you will begin to hear more clearly. Stillness does not mean your problems disappear. It means that beneath every movement, there is a continuous stream of peace. Stillness is when you are no longer pulled by every external voice, the voice of comparison, the voice of urgency, the voice that says you must keep up with everyone else. Stillness is when you step back, sit beside me, and say, Lord, I do not want to know only what makes me stand out. I want to know what delights you. In that moment, your body may still be tired, your circumstances may still be unchanged, but your inner gaze has shifted. And when the gaze is aligned, purpose begins to appear not as a detailed blueprint for your entire life, but as a next step clear enough for you to walk. I do not promise to show you every step from now until the end of your days, but I promise that when your soul is still, I will not let you lose your way. In each season, I will help you understand the tasks you must remain faithful in, the people you are called to love, the places where I want you to be present, the gifts I do not want buried in the ground but brought forth and used. Your purpose is not a title, not a position, not a label. It is the flow of life I long to release through you into the world around you. And you will recognize it because even when you are tired, your heart grows brighter. Whenever you do something out of love for me and for others, my beloved child, let me continue to prepare you. Do not rush me, demanding to see everything all at once. Trust that just as the sun is never late, even when the night feels long, the purpose I have for you is never late, even when you feel slow. The only thing I ask of you is this: let your soul be still enough to hear, soft enough to obey, and honest enough to discern my voice from the alluring invitation of flesh-driven ambition. When that happens, you will not simply know your purpose, you will live it daily, peacefully, and steadily in me. My beloved child, I want you to know this. I never promised that storms would disappear from your life, but I did promise that as you walk deeper in this journey with me, those storms will no longer have the power to crush you as they once did. They will still come, still blow, still shake things around you, but instead of breaking you, they will become the very place where you recognize the strength I have built within you, layer by layer. Endurance does not mean you no longer tremble. It is the ability to stand upright even while the wind still blows. And that ability is born only when you gradually learn new spiritual skills, adopt a renewed posture of living, and discover the reservoir of inner strength that only true connection with me can bring. My child, these new spiritual skills do not come from theory but from the bittersweet experiences you have walked through with me in past seasons. In earlier days, every time something unexpected happened, your first reaction was panic. You tried to control, to explain, to rearrange everything according to your own desire. And the more you did so, the more exhausted you became. But now you have begun to pause before speaking a word, to breathe slowly before taking an action, and to remain silent before reacting. You have learned to listen before drawing a conclusion, to seek peace before making a decision, and to wait for clarity before stepping forward. You are no longer swept into the whirlpool of fear at the first sign of a storm. You now know where to look, not at the wind, but at me. One of the new spiritual skills you have learned is the ability to discern which voice is mine and which belongs to fear. Before, you were easily misled, easily confused, easily pushed into hastiness, and easily drawn into dark imaginations. But now, my child, you have become more sensitive. You have recognized that the voice that comes from me never drives you into panic. It always carries peace, even when my instruction is difficult. Fear, on the other hand, is loud, hurried, and forceful. This skill, the skill of discernment, is one of the most precious gifts of maturity that the Holy Spirit has placed within you. You have also learned the skill of releasing things at the right moment. You understand that holding on to what I have asked you to let go will weigh you down, and releasing what I have asked you to keep will leave you empty. You have learned to ask, Lord, should I hold this? or should I place it into your hands? And every time you ask that question, you take one more step into a wisdom that is far beyond your own. My child, from these skills a new way of living has been formed within you. This new posture is not indifference to pain, nor is it pride that believes nothing can shake you. It is the serenity of a soul whose roots are planted in a foundation that cannot be moved. When others chase after rumors, you choose silence. When others live for conflict, you live for peace. When others seek to prove themselves right, you seek to keep your heart pure. This posture does not make you weaker. It makes you strong in a way the world cannot understand. You have become slower to anger, quicker to understand, and more anchored within. You no longer use the reactions of others as the measure of your worth. You no longer let someone's careless words steal your sleep for many nights. You no longer tremble at sudden changes the way you once did. Instead, you begin to ask, Lord, what are you teaching me through this? Where is your lesson hidden in this moment? It is this posture that makes storms lose their power over your soul. And, my child, this new posture does not come from your effort to change yourself. It comes from the inner strength nourished by the deep connection between you and me. Every time you come to me, in stillness, every sincere prayer, every moment in which you exhale fear and inhale peace, I am giving you a strength you could never generate on your own. That strength does not come from your toughness, but from your willingness to let me dwell in your weakest places. You become strong not because you cease to be weak, but because you allow me to enter your weakness. True inner strength is not rigid resistance. It is the flexibility of one who knows they are upheld. It is like a tree that knows the wind will blow yet remains anchored in deep roots. It is like a lamp that knows night will fall yet carries enough oil to shine. That strength is built from quiet hours of prayer, from moments when you call my name with only a few drops of energy left, from nights when you cried in silence yet still whispered, Lord, I trust that you are holding my hand. Those seemingly small moments have become the unbreakable foundation of a steady soul. My beloved child, I know the future can still trouble you, but I want you to remember this. The storms ahead are no longer terrifying enemies. They are necessary rains that will keep the soil of your heart soft and allow the spiritual fruit in your life to continue growing. You do not need to ask for a flawless life. You only need to learn how to stand firm, and I have already placed that ability within you. When the storm comes, you will no longer collapse. You will run to me before you run to fear. You will guard your peace instead of losing control. You will say, the Lord is here, instead of, I have no way out. And in that moment, my child, you will realize that storms no longer define you. It is the light within you, the light that comes from me, that defines your life. You were never promised that the sky would always be clear, but I have promised you something far better, that even when the storm breaks upon you, you will remain standing, not because you are skilled at enduring, but because you are built upon the rock, and I, the one who formed you, will never allow you to fall. Now, pray like this. Lord Jesus, the one who wept at Lazarus' tomb, and who today weeps for my very soul, please make my heart soft enough to hear and courageous enough to face the truth. There are days when I think I am fine, when life seems to be operating as usual. But deep within me, I sense an emptiness I cannot name. Lord, open my eyes so I may see that distance from you does not come from a single dramatic event, but from small habits, subtle compromises, and quiet moments when I stop being honest before you. Awaken me from this spiritual sleep, so I do not continue walking unconsciously toward a cliff that my soul cannot afford. Fill the dry places within me, remove the veil of dullness from my sight, and grant me the courage to return and to open even a narrow space for your light to break through. Lord, today I choose not to run, not to hide, and not to silence the inner call anymore. I return to you, trembling perhaps, but returning because I know that if I take even a single small step, you will run to embrace me. Lord, save me from the paralysis that has settled over my soul like a thin layer of mist. I no longer cry over what once moved me, no longer ache over what once stopped me, and no longer feel urgency for the things that belong to eternity. I am afraid. Your voice is becoming unfamiliar, Yet I am also too weary to rouse myself. Lord, rekindle the embers buried beneath ashes in my heart. Awaken the longing for you that I have misplaced. Shatter the plea to indifference that has slowly carried me away from the light. Place your hand upon my heart and make it live again, beat again, burn again, feel the weight of truth again, tremble before holiness again, and hunger again for your presence. Lord, do not let me live as one who still breathes while the soul sinks into night. Awaken me with your own breath. Lord, there are corners within me that I have buried for many years, dark places I fear to face, wounds that tighten my chest with even the slightest touch. But I now understand that what I hide is precisely what builds the wall that keeps me. From you, shine your light upon these hidden spaces, not to shame me, but to heal me. Remove each stone of hurt, break each brittle branch of painful memory, and uproot each thorn of disappointment that has bound my soul far too long. Do not let your voice be choked by the noise of old wounds. Grant me humility to acknowledge my weakness, courage to allow your touch, and faith to believe that your light will not harm me, but will bring me back to life. Lord, I know there are things eroding my soul, habits I do not wish to keep yet cannot let go, relationships that pull me away from you, thoughts that drain me, fears that tighten their grip on me day after day. I confess that I cling to them not because I want to, but because I do not know how to live without them. Teach me how to release them, so my hands no longer hold the stones that are dragging me deeper. Give me the strength to open my hands, to trust that you will uphold me, and to know that losing these harmful things is actually your way of rescuing me. Step into the places I fear to face, and help me free myself from the chains I have worn for far too long. Lord, there are moments when I feel as though I am calling out into emptiness, as though my prayers echo only within the walls of my own heart. There are nights when I lie still, yet a blanket of emptiness settles over me. But today I remember that you have never left me, never taken even half a step away, and never grown weary of me. Help me see that the emptiness I feel does not come from you, but from the walls I have built to shield myself from pain yet unhealed. Touch my heart, draw me back, and break through the layers of stone I have unconsciously accumulated. Let me experience the true nearness of your presence, so I may know that my heart never has to beat alone. Lord, open my eyes to see what the natural eye cannot perceive. Help me understand that real danger does not lie in the crises I fear, but in the quiet shifts that slowly lead my soul away from eternal life. Give me discernment between what appears to be light and what truly comes from you. Teach me to fear spiritual drifting more than I fear temporary earthly troubles. Make me aware of every small choice, for each one either draws me closer to you or pushes me farther from you. Do not let me sleep in the deceptive comfort of this world, but awaken me to the truth that my soul needs, your intervention now more than ever. Lord, I know that darkness does not always arrive with a fierce roar. Many times it comes through whispers that make me comfortable, that make me hesitate, that make me believe that tomorrow will be fine. Please shield me from that lullaby. Make my heart sensitive again. Make me grieve whenever I drift from truth. Make me restless whenever I step away from the light. Let me recognize false comforts, fleeting joys, and temporary ease that quietly veil my soul. Keep me awake, Lord, so I am not led far from you without realizing it. O God, please rouse me each time my spirit begins to grow cold. Lord, you do not demand that I run, or prove myself, or be flawlessly strong. You only ask that I take a small step. Please grant me the faith to make that step, even when my legs tremble, even when my heart is filled with doubt, even when my eyes are blurred with tears. Hold my hand before I fall. Help me believe that the moment I turn even slightly toward you, you will move toward me with the speed of heaven. Today, Lord, I offer you my first step, small, fragile, but sincere, and I trust that you will complete the rest. Lord, the wounds within me have hardened into layers of scar tissue, leaving me unable to fully feel either pain or joy. I thought I had become stronger, but in truth, I have only grown numb. Please break through those hardened layers, not to make me hurt more, but to soften my heart so it can feel your presence again. Give me the courage to open my heart, to let the tears flow, to release what has been buried for so long. I do not want to pass through life with a heart that has turned to stone. I want to live with a heart that knows how to love, how to weep, how to tremble before truth, a heart touched by you. Lord, there are moments when I know I am standing dangerously close to a spiritual cliff, yet I lack the strength to stop. I hear the warnings, but I tell myself, everything will be fine. I sense that I am drifting away, but I soothe myself with the lie, it's not too late. Today, O God, please save me from my own self-deception. Pull me away from the trajectory that is weakening my soul. Grant me the clarity to see that hesitation is an open doorway for darkness. Give me the strength to halt, the courage to return, and the humility to admit that I need you now more than ever. I place my soul into your hands. Please draw it back from the edge and set it once again on the path of life. I pray all these things in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong, faith-filled community.